Hello, everybody. Welcome to our last Lunch and Learn for the year. I know we're all sad. Today we have Janet Box coming to talk to us about Holiday Cactus. Now, I used to call them all Christmas cactus, so I have a lot to learn here. So, Janet, you've been a Master Gardener since 2019. So, here's Janet.
It's getting to be that time of the year when you go out into the different nurseries or the big box stores and you see all these different holiday cactus out there, which they usually advertise them all Christmas cactus. That's
right.
what you see. The sign says Christmas cactus and then however much they cost. And as I have found out in my recent dealings with the ones that I grow, they're not Christmas cactus, a lot of them. They're Thanksgiving cactus. And then there's Christmas cactus, and then there's Easter cactus. I've never seen an Easter cactus. And in today's presentation, we're not talking a whole lot about them. Now, Nancy, where are you? Okay, there you are. She's got one. She got from her sister. Up north, but she's not gotten it to bloom down here yet. So anyway, we're not going to discuss the Easter too much. I want to go ahead and get into this, and then if anybody has comments, questions, criticisms, whatever you want, throw it at us. This one right here is one of mine. Now, this was a couple years ago. Because this past year, I had it out. All my cactus go out. Last frost in the spring, they're all out the door. They take a lot of room in your house. And first frost, when they predict the first frost, I'll let the temperatures go down into the high 40s, mid 40s. And if they're talking wind chill of whatever in the 30s, they come back in. But this one here, which, like you say, it's beautiful. I did an overwater job on it.
Uh-oh.
And when you overwater, you root rot. And I did a root rot on that one there. I was able to confiscate some of the segments off of it and replant them and reestablish the plant itself. So yeah, this was taken, I think, no, this was last year. That's right. And I just put this one up on the table, and that's where it stayed all winter long, right there. Okay, I kind of did my own little disclaimer here. You know, sometimes when you go do things, have conversations or what have you, you do a little disclaimer. Now, I'm not going to read all this stuff, but all of these up here are where I got a lot of information from. But there were a couple others that I got after I gave the presentation to Bill and Teresa. The main one, I think, is that last one right there, my own experiences of growing Christmas and Thanksgiving cactus. Again, I've not done the Christmas. I've only done the Thanksgiving that I know of. Okay, and we'll get into some of that too. Uh-oh. Also, I am not a professional grower of any sort of tree, plant, flower, nothing, and I don't claim to be. All the things that I've done with my cactus, trial and error. My mom, I am from New England originally. I'm Southern fried now. My mom, okay, I'm trying to think. She got it was a Christmas cactus from her best friend whose adopted mother had it. When my mom got it, it was 85 years old. It was starting to get woody and she passed. And I don't know, I talked to my sister about it. She doesn't know if my brother's got it, and my brother doesn't know if he has it either. So if you can figure that one out, I was talking with him yesterday. I said, so you don't know.
He needs a picture.
Does he have one at all?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
so he has one.
He's got, hers was massive. It would take probably at least, like one of these round tables, at least a half of it. And it was absolutely gorgeous every year. But anyhow, my sister and I take after my mom as far as that was concerned right there. And I don't claim to know everything about growing these plants. And I have had some successful in some areas, and I've been a failure in some areas. So, but I hope that you will get something out of this today. And at the end, we do have some over here. They're going to be door prizes.
Woohoo!
So, yeah, I need to get rid of them. This came off of one of these over there, okay?
I just broke.
And because I travel them in a truck, and when I went to get them out of the door, these segments broke off. And I just stick them in the dirt. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then you get another pot. So, it keeps on going. It just keeps
Another
going.
door prize.
Okay, this was probably, I'm going to say that was probably about 5 years ago. The window that it's sitting in, and all these have to be in the wintertime because they're in the house. But the top one is actually a real, that thing was unusual, a peach. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And from the red, one of the big red one that I had, I don't know how this happened, but I had a white one and I had a red one in the living room. And the next year I had this. Okay, we talked about it earlier. There's 3 kinds of holiday cactus:
forth and
Thanksgiving,
multiply.
Christmas, Easter. The way you tell them apart is by the segments. Each one of these right here is a segment. Each one of these pieces right here is a segment, like right at the joint, okay? And that's what they call them, is segments. And you can tell the cactus apart by what they look like, what each segment looks like. The colors that they come in, which I've got it up there, pink, white, red, orange, and purple for Thanksgiving. Well, guess what color Christmas comes in? Pink, white, red, orange, purple, and yellow. And guess what color Easter comes in? Pink, white, red, orange, and purple. So, it's like whatever. They are not native to our country, but they are native to Brazil. And, they grow in trees. I had a picture. Michelle edited my presentation, and I had a picture of the cactus. It was all through this dead tree, and one that was still upright. And she called me and she goes, I don't think you can use that one. She said, it's copyrighted. I went, well, get that thing out of there. So anyway, let me see here. Let me go to the next one here. Okay, this is another one, as you can tell. And what I was going to tell you about that, like I said, the cactus, I had the white, it was just a pure white. And then that red, and I'm going, they're beautiful. But I can't get it back to the white color. It will not go, at least for me. Now, somebody out here may have more wisdom than I've got as far as these things are growing, but I don't have it. Like I said earlier, I don't claim to be all knowledgeable on growing these things, just my experiences. Okay, more general info. Thanksgiving, cactus, basically, this is the time of the year when they start coming in. All of these here that you see, these are all Thanksgiving cactus. Most of them, the 2 over here, there's several here that have got buds on them. If you look closely at the 2 over there, get a chance after the meeting, a lot of the stems have got double buds on them. And I've even had triple on them. I've seen at this nursery that I work at locally, I don't know if I can say the name of it or not. Oh, I can say Bobo's? Okay. Okay. I've seen it when they've gotten the cactus in for the holidays that they're usually short, and we'll get into some of that here lately. But I've seen them where they've had 3, 4, and 5 buds on a stem, and I'm going, oh my gosh, when that thing blooms, that poor stem is going to go.
Brazil and Mexico?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You've never noticed the packaging?
No. No. But about the packaging, where are they from? Brazil or Mexico, or where are they from? So they typically do bloom and from November through December. I've had them up over the Christmas holidays. Some of them, you know, when they start dying off, they die back pretty quick, which is kind of heartbreaking, but they stay full bloom for quite a while. That was the one thing I was going to tell you. And then on the Thanksgiving cactus, and I don't know if you can see it or not, I'll pass them around if you want. The Thanksgiving has like pointed claws on them, okay? Whereas the Christmas cactus does not. Their segments are more rounded. Oh, I keep walking away from the camera, don't I? And then the Thanksgiving, of course, it blooms right around. It'll start blooming right around now. I've had Thanksgiving cactus bloom in January, February, and March as well. So I'm sure it has something to do with the operator that's handling them. But anyway, let's see. Okay, this is, well, and that's like the segments that I just sent around. Those are you see the points on the segments there. That identifies it as Thanksgiving. The Christmas one you can see over to the right, it's got a more rounded edge on it. And you don't see those specific points or claws or whatever they want to call it. The Christmas, of course, it is known for blooming right around the Christmas holidays and into the first part of the year. Easter cactus, guess when it blooms? Amazing. It is. Easter is different every year. And it's also called the spring cactus. So they've got up here, and most of this information, I'm not mocking it, but because I know how it has worked for me versus what the professionals say. But it says it often blooms March through May. So that would cover whether Easter's early or later or what have you. And looking at pictures of this Easter cactus, the flowers are beautiful. They are star-shaped. And they sometimes, and what I was reading is, and Nancy, maybe you can help me here, they have been known to open during the day and close at night. Okay. All right. And then their segments are also rounded, but they're a little bit different from the Christmas cactus. And so, and a lot of times, and we'll see a slide here in just a moment. Okay, here's the Christmas cactus segments right there. And if you'll see the one over on the far right has got like little bristly hairs, scallops. Okay, that's a scallop. There we go. Thank you. But on the right-hand side is just off the top of that segment is little bristly hair. And so, not that I'm going to be up that close looking for bristly hair, but anyway, you might. Okay, so here's kind of a picture. I'm sorry that it's blurry, but of all three of them, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter. And now when I do go in the stores and I do see cactus, I go hunting for them. I want to see what they are. Because they always, the signs that I've seen out when I've seen them are Christmas cactus, and almost every one of them is Thanksgiving. So now we know the rest of the story.
But we have been educated now.
Well, something. Okay, let me see. I want to see. All right, that was the Easter. Okay, propagating the holiday cactus. Well, what you can do is pinch off some of those segments. Don't pinch off one. Go down a few segments. But I don't know, if you're like me and you see a piece that has fallen off on the concrete, I go and pick it up and put it in a pot. And voila, So, and then I may find another one. So there might be white and red over here. So if somebody, whatever. But I've read in different places to let them cure or to sit so that the end of the segment dries out some before you plant it. Then I was reading the other day, you don't have to do that. You can just go ahead and stick it in dirt. I've done it both ways and they've all lived. So, but they do, and I've even used, what do you call it, rooting hormone. After it's been sitting out for a while, I'll wet the end. It kind of defeats the purpose, but and put rooting hormone on it, and they go to town. So, well draining potting soil. One of the things that I read was like succulent soil, cactus soil. I use regular BM6 from Bobo's. And one of the places they did mention about possibly mixing perlite in with if you use potting soil, just so that it keeps your soil loose and the water will drain through, because you don't want these things sitting in water. Let me see here. Okay, this happened yesterday, and I'm in my makeshift little thing right here. This is another way to propagate. And just not only dirt, but you can do it in water. This will also be a door prize if anybody really wants this thing. There's 3 segments in it, or 3, and it's like they just got put in there last night when I broke them off unintentionally. And I thought, well, that would be something good. Somebody might want to try it by water, but you can do that. And eventually I have grown a couple segments this way. And they do get little, the white roots on the bottom of it. You'll see them come out on the water. Yeah, Nancy. Wow, that's interesting. To put for those that can't hear what Nancy said, she puts them in a baggie with a little bit of water, seals it up, and sets it in a window. And then when you take them out and they've got that root system started on them, then you can plant them. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Yes.
Do they wilt when they need water? Do they wilt at all?
We'll talk about wilting. Yeah, I know about wilting. I also know about what the wilting will do sometimes. One thing that is suggested, though, is that you wait to cut, if you've got a decent plant, whatever, wait until after it has bloomed out before you take the segments out. Now, I think, yeah, of course, these broke off last night. 1 or 2 of them have got buds on them. They will possibly, maybe bloom. Okay, if they don't, the buds will just sit at that size, and you may as well break them off. They'll turn brown eventually. So, okay, let me go to the next one here. Okay, this is another big one that I have. I think this one right here is the mother cactus. I've had it for 45 years.
Wow.
And so I had 2 of them that my mom gave me 45 years ago. And one of them, I think, and I'm thinking, a couple of my big ones at the house are the other one split up because of a little incident situation with the cactus and its owner. And we'll leave it at that, okay? But this is, well, you can tell it's at Christmas time here. Do what? Yeah. But this was hanging in my front porch. I had 3 humongous big ones and had them hanging in the front porch right there. And that's Mama.
Transplant them every once in a while in the fresh soil?
Mama hasn't been transplanted in I don't know how many years.
Why would you touch her, right?
Well, the thing of it is, I'm going to have to. This spring. I've got to transplant her into a bigger pot. Yeah, it won't be a whole lot bigger because they don't encourage you to use, go from a small pot to a humongous big pot. They like to be root bound. And she is root bound. But she is loaded with buds right now. These 2 back here are loaded with buds. And if you look at them, some of them are doubles. Mama has got many doubles. And she is placed in a window right now, and that's where she will stay until frost time is over in spring. Okay, caring for. All right, somebody was asking me something earlier about, the care. I go, I kind of ignore them. I do, but I don't. even though they are considered a cactus, they're not the desert type of cactus. They like humidity. They like bright indirect light. Okay, and one of the red ones that I have this past summer proved exactly what this says. Direct sunlight can burn their segments, and it will happen, and it turns them purple usually. Then you know that you have them, you've burnt them. I do have a red one at home. It is got purple. The top two segments on each piece is purple, and I'm thinking, but it wasn't in the sun. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that one there. There's no telling. It might be a red and white one getting together or something. They like natural light. And at the end of the presentation, I've got some pictures of where I put mine once they come out in the springtime. And it's a perfect location for them. They do like cooler temperatures. Unfortunately, mine all came in. Well, when we had all that wind, I don't know, down here, I think you got the wind just like where I am. And it was like I couldn't leave anything out because that wind was tearing the cactus up, it was tearing my ferns up and everything else. So everything came in, but they do like cool nights and they do like cooler days. Even though the summertime they'd be up, 100 degrees or what have you, they still like when it gets this cool right here. Okay, and then if you read through some materials on raising these things and you're trying to get them to bloom, they'll tell you, some people will tell you, you have to put them in a room for 12 hours in pitch black. Okay, is that who it is? The poinsettia people? Well, they go with this too. And I've never done that. The one thing that we did do about a month or so ago, none of these cactus had buds on them. And they were all outside. And the thing of it is, they don't like artificial lighting at night either. Well, down on a portable building that we have down back, there's a big nightlight. Not a nightlight like you have in the house, the spotlight type thing. Well, it would shine right into where all these cactus were. And I'm going, then I had to ask my husband, hey, can we shut that light off? I said, he goes, why? I go, because I want my cactus to bud. Anyway, the light went off. And you know what? Within a week to a week and a half, every one of them had buds on them. Now, I don't know if that's coincidence or if that's just how it's supposed to happen, but that's what happened. And the buds have been growing ever since. When you got them in the house, they do like a north window. That's where my big mama plant's sitting right now. She takes up probably from here over to that chair in front of a north window. And yeah, well, that's the other thing they tell you, the east window or the north window. Yeah. And then when I I just sold my home not too long ago or in Buffalo, but back then I had cactus sitting in the east window and south window. But the south window had a mini blind on it, which we'll just see some pictures here shortly. And I had to keep that mini blind mostly shut because the light coming in was bright enough, but I didn't want the sun getting to them. Okay, like I said earlier, they're native to Brazil, humid forests. They're not the run-of-the-mill cactus, but one of the things about, I don't know if some people, you guys are gardeners, so you should not have a problem sticking your finger in the dirt, I wouldn't think. And so what they recommend that you do, it may look real dry on top, but if you stick your finger in the dirt, which I didn't do with the red one that I ended up having issues with, okay, I just saw I thought, I know what I'm doing. But anyway, stick your finger down about an inch or so in the dirt, and if it's dry, then water it. If it's still damp, don't water it. Okay, they would rather be more on the dry side than on the damp side. Okay, something else that I do, because it does, let me see, I think it says, and all this stuff that is written down on your handouts, this is all information that I got off the internet. You know, we all believe the internet, right? But there's specific websites that deal with, that were in the front in that disclaimer page. But it's, what was I gonna say? But I go ahead and I missed my cactus a lot. And I know I'm going to get ahead of myself here, but I mix up, not now because they're unbud, and I don't fertilize when they're in bud. I don't fertilize now until after they get done blooming. In the beginning of springtime sometime is when I'll start fertilizing, and I will fertilize through till just before I bring them in the house again next year. But I missed them. But what I missed them with is I take a little bit of Miracle Grow and stick it in a spray bottle and fill the bottle up, and I missed them with that. They fertilize through the segments. And then I also use Osmocote in on top of the soil, and does really well. They seem to perk up when they get that Miracle Grow spray mist on them. So anyway, just one of my little things that I do. Yeah, watering less frequently in the fall, and then, which is what I did with all of them. And now though, and I know all of these that will be given away, they all got watered yesterday. So whoever gets them, you're good for a little while, should be. And if it looks dry, stick your finger down in the dirt. Once they start flowering, they will suck that soil dry. It takes some, to me, the way I look at it, it takes so much energy out of the plant when they're in the blooming stage. Okay, we talked about the misting. Oh, yeah, this is when I was working. This was one of the ones that I brought into work, and there was this was in my office. Yeah, it was absolutely gorgeous. The color, you just didn't see that color. And I don't know how come I don't have that color anymore, because I have a feeling it has something to do with it was sitting with some of these other colors, like the red one. But up in the reception office of the building that I was in, I brought in the big white ones, and they hung them up there, and people would come in and think that they were fake. And because they were so huge, and the flowers on them were probably a good this long once they bloom out. But they pull the segments down there, so they're heavy. And they will pull your segments down until the flowers fall off.
Oh.
So yeah.
Hey, Janet, is that one in a box of pebbles by any chance?
No. Under fluorescent light, period. That was it. No stuffy office is what it was in, and fluorescent lights. The lights went out at night, came on for 12, 14 hours the next day. And it did beautiful in there. One thing that I was going to say is when those flowers start falling off, a lot of times I say it's like it's weeping. It has is it a sap or whatever it is that it drops, and it's sticky. It can be sticky. It'll get on your floor, your table, whatever you have your plant sitting on, it can get all over that. It's not a whole lot, but it is. You will see it when you have flowers fall off of it. Kind of, I don't know that it's a nectar. I forgot to look it up and see what it said about that stuff. Okay, fertilizing. When I start fertilizing, I do fertilize about once a month or so. In the heat of the summer, I will mist them almost daily, because what I do is I take the water hose sometimes, and I just go over everything. And if the cactus happen to be in the way, they get it too. And if they don't, they're good too. But I do fertilize them about once a month or month and a half. But once I hit around September into the first part of October, I stopped the fertilizing because it's going into a growth mode or into the blooming stage. Okay, these here were last year, and they were they had my dining room full. Now, over to the right, I don't know if you can make it out, but it's a mini blind. It's on the south window. And the mini blind pretty much stayed mostly closed unless it was a cloudy day. And then I would open it up and let it have the total natural light. But all of them were sitting in that window. Soil, we talked about that really. Okay, and you don't want to leave them standing because people they want to put, a saucer underneath to keep the water there for them and everything else. It's okay for a few minutes, but don't leave it standing like that because that will encourage root rot. Repotting, here comes the repotting thing. May be necessary every 2 to 3 years, trying to wait until after they're blooming. If you start doing it during blooming, they're liable to drop their buds. And they do, like I said earlier, they like to be kind of root bound. All of mine I know are root bound except for these, because I have not transplanted any of them. One other thing that I wanted to say about the fertilizing, when you're reading information, some people encourage using Epsom salts. Some people, what's the other one? Coffee grounds. And the different articles that I've read on it, I've not used either one of them, so I don't know. But the coffee grounds, they say more to mix it in the soil before you plant them. And that way, it's not getting a whole lot of it all at one time. And it just, whatever the coffee grounds do for the soil, they add nutrients to it. But that's what I read. Like I say, I haven't experienced it. The pot, when you're repotting, like I said earlier, don't go great big. You want to just go about a size or so up from what your existing pot is. Now, my mama plant, I don't know how I'm going to do her. I haven't found the right kind of pot for her because I would imagine she's probably been in the one she's in for 20 years.
And what about plastic versus clay?
Okay, somewhere in here, I did bring that, I did have that, I think, and I've written it in here. Personally, I have, my big plants are all in plastic. But when you read information on how to plant these things, they recommend the unglazed terracotta. And honestly, I like the unglazed terracotta because it dries out, does not leave your plant sitting in, like the plastic will hold that moisture. And that I like using the terracotta. But you know something? The unglazed terracotta is not always easy to find. Yeah. And yeah, they are heavy. Yep. So my big ones are all in plastic because they've been there for years and years and years. Yes. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, this is just another one. This little, hang on, I'll be right back. This little table right here, that I had loaded with little ones like this. And some of those were even budding and blooming. And it's like, but you can see in this picture versus one of the other ones where it just showed the buds, this is more that's coming into full bloom right here.
Starting to hang down.
And it's starting to hang down. Whoops. Well, hello. Okay, yeah, they're starting to pull those segments over because of the weight of the blooms. Yeah. Okay, common issues. Wilting segments. It could indicate that your plant is struggling, needing moisture. I have had a couple of them, and it was this summer. Even, I don't know how come, because they weren't getting any less or any more than all the other cactus, but a couple of them just stayed wilted. but you could stick your finger down in the soil and it was wet. So I don't know what happened there. Okay, the brown or black spots. I kind of got tickled on this one here, environmental stress. That means your plant is under stress. Okay, but what really I got laughing about, of course, I loaded all of these things up in the truck this morning, and one of the reasons they will go into, quote, environmental stress is because you're moving them around.
So they're all going to be in stress.
So they're all, hey,
They're all going to get
yeah, no, hopefully not. Hopefully they don't. Also, a change in light can do it too, can put them into a, I've had that happen, but it was a temporary thing. Yellowing segments, maybe hydration or stress again. And we just thought we had stress, right? Okay, the red segments I was talking to you earlier about, they're more purpley than they are red, is when you have them in direct sun and it burns them, and it will burn them. Also, I call them nutrient deficiencies. So that can also cause the wilting and no growth too. Okay, let me see. I have a couple notes. Okay, yeah, with the overwatering, whether it's summer or winter, that can lead to root rot. And I have had one of my big ones get root rot. And it's like, oh my gosh. But you can salvage a lot of the plant. You just got to get rid of all that the bad stuff and just salvage the rest of it. No, I would say a greenhouse, because I've had some out in a greenhouse, and I have one of my big ones is out in a greenhouse right now. But the roof is a tin roof. And so it's helping to keep it out of the direct sun. But you know something? You might try it. Yeah, like I said earlier, mine's trial and error.
Just put it on the shelf
Yeah,
below.
if you've got shelves in it, yeah, because the only thing that because I have a couple. No, I don't. That was the last time. If you have plants above it and you're watering, you got to be careful that water doesn't go down, and continually water your cactus below it. Okay, that was one thing that I did discover in having cactus on a shelf. It's not elf on a shelf, it's a cactus on a shelf. Oh my. Okay. It says if experiencing any of these past ones, you may need to soil moisture. Sorry. Again, I said they like humidity. Teresa said something about the tray with stones. That usually, if you put a tray with stones and water nearby, that's usually, from what I have read, enough to add a little humidity into the air. I've never done that. Yeah, exactly. But I do, even when I have them in the house, I still mist them in the wintertime, knowing that even when they're in full bloom, I still mist them.
With the Miracle-Gro?
No, just water. I don't do any fertilizer. I'm trying to think. All right, I think I cut it off like the first or second week in October, and I will not fertilize again until all the blooms are gone. It gets they go into like a rest period, for a little bit late winter into early spring. And then though, when I start to see new growth on them, I start shooting the fertilizer to them, because now they're getting into the growth stage. Okay, avoid fertilizer until plant recovers, blah, blah, blah. Check for pests. Okay, mealybugs, spider mites, aphids. I've not had any. In all the years that I've had at least one plant, I've never had, let's not use that word never, but I have not had insects, which I'm very thankful for. So anyway, okay, this is another one that I had at work. Under the fluorescent lights, they loved it.
They miss you at work, don't they?
Oh, I don't think so.
Are the flowers
But
still there?
no. Those Actually, I took them to work for winter and let them winter in the offices. Yes. And then, yeah, no room at the house, like no room at the inn. But this was no room because these were just so big. And
So when you're building your home, make sure.
you have a room for your holiday cactus, right? But this one here, I actually for a while had this one and that other pinky or peachy colored one together. And then somebody else wanted it in another office. So we put it in another office, and different places had these holiday cactus. Most of them were Thanksgiving. Okay, not blooming. Okay, I said earlier, I think that one of the things that a lot of people say is 12 hours in a dark room. You have to do that, starting in the end of September, for X amount of days or what have you. Maybe that's true, but I've never done it. And mine, you can see for the pictures, they've done beautifully. But they do like continual dark hours. Okay, well, this is why we shut the light off, because it does say somewhere, I don't know where, but that they don't even like artificial lighting when they're starting to get into that bud stage. They need the, what do you call it? They need the darkness. Yeah, resting time. And then they also, when we had just before all that wind and that front came through, when the nights, it was still like 80, wasn't it 80 or 90 degrees? And I'm going, this is fall. I want my cactus to start budding. And I thought, because we had the warm nights, and I thought, oh my gosh, what's it going to do to these things? Which then it started cooling off. So anyway, but we've talked about all those really fertilizing, watering, the bright light. Okay, it says not blooming, no pruning. I don't prune mine.
Well, except for that.
Well, well, they get pruned unintentionally. Okay? Huh? But no, sometimes if somebody comes over and they want a couple cuttings or something, I'll tear them off and give them to them. Not when they're blooming, I won't. I'd leave when they're blooming, you get nothing. Okay? But, and then inconsistent airflow, even now with because I've had the cactus in the greenhouse, I have a fan out there that constantly, all day long, will circulate the air. And they like it. Okay, disease such as root rot and gray mold. Does anybody know what the gray mold is? On top of your soil, sometimes you will see a gray mold appear. And I was reading up on it, and it said, don't be too concerned. Take something, it's just overwatering. And I'm thinking, on my cactus, I'm overwatering, and I've got gray mold now. But it just says to stir it into the soil. I have seen it a couple times, and I've scraped it off. So that's what I did. Okay, there's a little red one that I have, and then that peachy color one. And again, these were sitting in a south window. Okay, extra tidbits. Oh yeah, once the buds form, leave them alone. Leave the plants alone. Well, you see, we've jiggled them all over Leon and Freestone County this morning. So moving them, even turning the pot, can cause buds to drop. And I have had that happen. The direct sunlight thing, okay. Now, like I've said, I've taken them out of the outside after the last frost in the spring and bring them back in just before the first frost in the fall. Okay, I'm almost done. Okay. I don't think these plants are as temperamental as some people make them out to be. Sometimes, especially like now with them budding and everything, you do have to be patient. It does take a little time. They don't open overnight. I think that they do. They're beautiful at this time of the season. I love it when all of mine, because mine all come into bloom at the same time, just about. And it's beautiful. And I just hope today encourages you to try one of these plants. I think you would enjoy it, and they're not really hard to care for. Oh yeah, wrote down here, there's a lot of information on the internet. All you have to do is get on Google. So, okay, now this whoops, this here, I've got a few slides that are just, you don't have them in your presentation. But these are some of the cactus. This was 2 weeks ago, out on the back patio. Now this is where I keep my cactus. Keep ferns and plants and everything else too. But Bill, can I walk away from this thing?
Sure.
Okay, you might be able to see there's a black cast iron. This is a wood rack, okay? And on the bottom of the wood rack, I have mama cactus and one other big one. And then I put some wood on the shelf area and put a bunch of my little ones on top of that. And then you can't really see it in another picture, you will, but this is a shepherd's hook, a four hook. And I've got 3 of them hanging up over there. Let's see. Okay, there's the wood rack. And this is mama down here. And between the cactus and the ferns,
Perfect spot.
it is a perfect spot because it's under trees. It gets the bright light all day long. Very little sunlight. It kind of comes through and it's diffused through the trees, filtered through the trees. Perfect setting. And every day in the summertime, I go out because the ferns have to be watered every day. But I take the hose and I will take it over. There might be some days that I don't do the cactus, but I do it. When I do it with them, it's lightly.
Is this their new home?
Yes, this is the new home, yeah. Because that's a perfect clump of oak trees right there. So I put those bricks down, the stones, whatever you want to call them, all the way around. And started putting plants back there. And I went, and then they started flourishing. The ferns went nuts. The cactus went nuts. And I'm going, well, there must be something right here. Here, you can only really see 2 of them hanging there, but there is a third one. Does anybody know what that green thing is on the bottom? Yes. Nothing funnier than watching a squirrel try to go up and then they get into that thing right there. But yeah. Yes. No, when I lived in Buffalo, I had 2 feeders. And they were they did get into them. And I bought this thing and then sat out on the porch and laughed, watching them. Okay, and this is just a close-up of one of the cactus. This is the one I was telling you that, see how purpley red it is? And the soil's not over dry, it's not wet, the plant is not in sunlight, and I've got it at home and it's in full bud.
A&M got a hold of it.
Is that, it must be, yeah. Now I know here, these are more cactus up in here. Yeah, I know. It's crazy, but they love it. Okay, that was the end of it. Yay.